Scallops and mushrooms and wine, oh my! My scallop and mushroom gratin is based on the classic French dish Coquilles St. Jacques. This rich and creamy dish sounds fancy and complicated, but is really an easy and elegant dish to make. Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode of Let's Celebrate TV. I'm your host, Peter Lee. Today, our celebration, well, I'm feeling a little indulgent. So we're going to make a scallop and mushroom gratin. Let's get started. We're going to start with our little gratin dishes here. Now I have 4 of them. All I did was I buttered them, just took a knob of butter, wiped it all inside. Now, we need to put some scallops in here. I'm starting off with a pound of bay scallops. These are the little ones instead of the great big sea scallops. So I'm just going to divide this evenly among these dishes. Now this is one of those great recipes I love to make because it's versatile. I'm using a larger gratin dish today because I'm going to serve this as an entree or main course. You could put them in smaller little dishes and serve it as an appetizer. All right. We don't need layers and layers of scallops because we want them all to cook evenly. These are all filled. That's about how much we want in each one. Alrighty, now I'm going to put these aside and I'm going to bring up all the ingredients for us to make our sauce. We're ready to make our sauce. Look at all these ingredients. Don't be frightened. It's very, very simple. We're going to start. I have my pan heating over medium heat. I'm going to add some butter. 6 tablespoons, about 85 grams by weight. This is unsalted butter. Right in. We just want this to start melting down, foaming up, letting all that water evaporate out of it. And here's the great thing. You don't even have to wait, though, for this to melt all the way. Next ingredient, I have shallots. This is 2 shallots that I've finely minced. I'm just going to dump them right in. Pretty simple. We're going to let that work for a moment. Let them get to know one another. The shallots are a great thing. They're kind of a mixture between garlic and onion. They're kind of right in the middle between the two of them. All right, give them a little more stir. And next, mushrooms. You can't have a scallop and mushroom gratin without mushrooms. This is 12 ounces of mushrooms that I sliced up. These are plain button mushrooms. You can use cremini. So 12 ounces is about 340 grams. Right in. At this point, I'm going to add just a tiny bit of salt and pepper, just a pinch. I'm not adding much. This is just going to help these vegetables start to relax and let their water out. A little bit of pepper. And I'm not adding a lot of salt because there are other salty elements that will come in later that will make up for it. So we just need to let all of this cook down. Turn up the heat a little bit. So we just want these mushrooms to cook down, turn brown. Okay, our mushrooms are ready. It's been about 10 minutes. They've cooked down, they're nice and brown, and they've gotten rid of all of their liquid. Now I'm going to add a little more flavor. We're going to add some dry white wine. I have here 2 ounces or 60 mils with dry. That's key, dry white wine. We're going to add this in. Give it a stir. We want to let this cook until it's almost all evaporated. Probably wondering why. That's going to leave the wine flavor, but the alcohol is cooking out. And it really just takes a couple minutes. Okay, next, some flour. This is going to help us thicken the sauce. I have a 1/4 cup or 30 grams of all-purpose flour. Just plain old, nothing special. And we put this in, stir it around. And we're going to let this cook for about a minute. That's going to cook out that raw flour taste. All right, next ingredient is I'm adding some clam juice. Now you could use fish stock or light chicken stock, but I'm using clam juice today. I have 12 ounces, which is 360 mils of clam juice. We're going to stir this in, and we're just going to let it go, start to thicken up. Turn up the heat a little bit. Now what we did when we added the flour, that made a roux. Now we're adding liquid, so it's going to thicken up. It's already starting to thicken and look all velvety. It's smelling pretty good too. Next is some heavy cream. I have 8 ounces, 240 mils, heavy cream. Right in. Let's get as much as we can. And then my own little twist is I have a head of roasted garlic. We're going to put that in. I'm going to stir this about. I'm going to turn the heat up and bring it to a boil. Then we're going to let it simmer and reduce and thicken up. And that's going to take about 10 minutes. Now I added a head of roasted garlic. If you're wondering how to do that, I'll leave the link in the comment section to a recent episode I did on how to roast garlic. Once you start doing that, you'll be surprised how many dishes you add it to. All right, it's boiling nicely. I'm going to reduce the heat and we'll just let it simmer. Oh, it smells good. All right, our sauce is nice and thick. It's reduced down. It's been about 10 minutes. Oh, luscious. I cut the heat. We're going to let this hang out a minute and relax. We're going to make a topping for these. We want a little crispy topping. And we're going to start with some panko breadcrumbs. I have 3/4 cup or about 60 grams of plain panko breadcrumbs. To that, I'm going to add some minced parsley, fresh. It's about 4 tablespoons. Right in. Next is Gruyere cheese. Now this is a 5-ounce piece, which is 170 grams. I just grated it. Gruyere is similar to Swiss cheese. It's nutty and it melts really well. It's all gonna go in. I'm gonna give this a little started. Give it a little mixy mix. Just to get it started. Next, I'm going to add some olive oil. I have 3 ounces or 90 mils of extra virgin olive oil. I'm going to pour that in, most of it. Okay. I'm going to give this a mix. It's going to look a little wet, and that's okay. It's going to help it all brown and get bubbly in the oven. All right, this is about ready to go. Now we're going to let this sauce cool down a bit because if we add it to our scallops now, it's going to cook them instantly. So we're going to let this cool for a few minutes. I'm going to clear the decks and then we're going to assemble these gratins. Our sauce is nice and cool and we are ready to assemble. So I'm just going to divide this evenly among these gratin dishes. And I'll just start with a spoonful in each one. You can see how luscious this sauce is. A little more in that one. Mm-mm-mm. All right. Now for the topping. We're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to give it a coating. I may not use all of this. In fact, I probably won't. That's okay because this can go on so many other things and you can just pop the leftovers in your fridge. It'll be fine. We don't need a big thick coating. We want to cover most of it. It's okay if there's a little bit showing. It'll bubble up. That's pretty good. Now these are going to go into an oven. My oven is at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 200 degrees Celsius. And we're going to bake these for about 15 minutes. What we're looking for is them to heat through and the tops to be nice and golden and crunchy and browned. Now, if after 10 to 15 minutes we'll say you're not there, under the broiler for just a moment, just to brown that top. So off to the oven. Here we are out of the oven. Now, I checked these at 10 minutes because they just smelled so wonderful and I couldn't wait. They looked pretty good to me, so check them at 10 minutes. Your oven may take about 10 minutes. It may take 15 because your oven's different than mine. But if you're really not sure, you can use your probe thermometer that I always tell you to have, and you can just check them. You're looking for an internal temperature of 115 to 120 Fahrenheit, which is 46 to 50 degrees Celsius. That's when you pull them out of the oven. Carryover cooking will make sure they're perfectly cooked. So let's have a taste. And here we are, this beautiful little, ooh, can't wait. Wow. It's so good. Scallops, perfectly cooked, nice and tender. There's that richness from the cream. The mushrooms are in there, nice and earthy. And the crust, crunchy, bright from the parsley. I need a little sip of wine to wash it all down. Perfect. Now, in case you're wondering, this wine here is the exact same wine that I put in here because you don't want to cook with something if you're not going to drink it. We will see you on Tuesdays, as always, for our regular episodes and Fridays for Basic Skills or Cocktail Fridays. And we'll see you on Sundays for our live streams. Now, I'm going to go have some alone time with this, and I want you to watch these episodes over here. Till next time, cheers.